All right, we don't typically use the conditions tab as of right now. I already showed you the animal tab. There's the search tab. I'll come back to that in a minute. We typically use tests, vaccinations, and treatments. And then summary includes all the reports and stuff, and I'll come back to that at the very end. So tests. Okay. You'll notice all this stuff auto-populated from what you entered in the details page. So you're going to choose a test. Let's say he got a combo test. Whenever you're tabbing over, sometimes PetPoint has a tendency to skip over what you've done or to change what you did to, a different task. So just make sure these fields are correct before you save. You can enter the body part that it was done to. If it needs to be retested, you can click here and enter the date. Okay. Any notes? There's the new section. You can add notes. Okay, and then we're going to select the test result date and time, and what we're testing for. For example, the combo test tests for both feline leukemia and feline HIV. So they may have two different results, and that's one of the benefits of the new rollout is you can put a separate result for each one. The only problem is right now this button is deactivated. It was working yesterday. It's not working today. We'll see what happens, but in the meantime, PetPoint has given us a workaround around this. So. And let's say he's negative for FELV. Tab over, this automatically populates with the same time you did the test. Any sort of comments you can put here, add test. By the way, if it's running slow and you're wondering what's going on, you can scroll up here. If the word processing is up here, that means the machine is thinking. They are working on cutting down that time, but just FYI. Okay, so here we are. If we want to add the result for the FIV test, or portion of the test, you select. This is also a good way to edit the test if you need to. These areas are grayed out, which means you cannot change them, but you can change the dose, body part, retest, etc. All right, well, we don't want to lose this. We don't want to write over this because this will be completely lost. So what we're going to do is hit Update Result. Medical record test results saved. Anytime you see something that says, medical data saved, results saved, that means it's safely stored here. Ta-da. And now you're free to move on to the next thing. By the way, on long lists like this, I like to type the first couple of letters to get me down to that section. Okay, let's say he tested positive. Okay, add result. Here we go. Ta-da! And now to make sure that this sticks, we're going to update test. And again, it works the same way if you're testing, or excuse me, if you're editing a test. Okay, well, it looks like this has already been updated, so we're good. This sort of message means there's nothing in this field for it to save. So apparently these guys are already saved, and we're good to move on. All right, next we're going to go to vaccinations. See, processing. FYI, it's a lot faster first thing in the morning and later at night when a lot of people aren't working on it across the country. So, all right, so here are all the different vaccines we can add. Most of them have information that's already populated based on the type of exam. Bordetella is a one-year vaccine that dogs get. CVR is a one-time vaccine that cats get. We don't give it, but other shelters like TLAC do give it. Distemper. Quick note about this. We give our distemper with lepto. A lot of other clinics do not. So if you're entering historical records and it says they got a DHP booster, if you do not see this L, meaning it did not have lepto, then down here in the notes section, write DA2BP. Distemper vaccines are every 2 weeks for animals under 4 months. If an animal's over 4 months, they get 2 vaccines and they're good for a year. By the way, you can also hit clear if you need to get rid of this information and start fresh. See? We don't give this vaccine. FARCP Same as distemper, it's every 2 weeks for animals under 4 months. For animals over 4 months, it's 2 vaccines and then they're good for a year. FYI, if you are entering historical records, if this revac date is older than today's date, you cannot add it. It will not let you. So if that's the case, put your cursor here and then hit your delete button. Just like that. Okay. All right, and the last one is rabies. Here you're going to put the rabies tag number. Okay, it's automatically going to say Austin Pet's alive. If the animal got it from somewhere else, you can manually change that. There we go. Vaccine. And you can see it down here. I'm sure you're wondering about the save button. I honestly don't know what it does. It seems pretty redundant. As soon as you hit the add vaccination or add whatever button, it's automatically down here and it's saved and you can move on. You don't even necessarily have to hit the submit button. I do just to be safe at the end of the exam. But as far as save goes, the add button does the exact same thing, and I just find that a little bit more intuitive. So moving on. And again, to edit anything, you can just, select it down there. Some areas will be grayed out. If they're grayed out, you may just have to delete it. But anything that's not grayed out, you can go ahead and edit. Up here, you'll see scheduled and pending treatments. Earlier, I had created an exam saying that they got frontline, and that's auto-populated to be once a month for a year. So all the pending, treatments that are in the future will be up here under scheduled. You can just ignore that though. All right, so treatment. There are 2 types of treatments that we use, procedure and medication. You'll rarely use procedure. Those are for things like nail trims, bandage, wraps, things like that. More than likely than not, you'll just be writing down the treatment as what you did. So bandage, wrap. Just takes a lot less time than itemizing. However, you will use medication frequently. All right, I'm going to scroll up a little bit because I want to show y'all guys something. All right, let's say he is getting, say he was a dog and he got heart guard. Or actually, I'm going to try it again. I want to show you guys something. Okay, there we go. Okay, if you'll notice, these things on here are auto-populated. This one needs to be fixed. There you go. Lindsay's gone to the admin section and is auto-populated, frequency, as well as these kind of information for common treatments that we give so that we don't have to do more work than we need to. If you know the dosage, you can put it here. If you don't know it, just do one application. Okay. I wanted to show you guys, if you change this or do, let's see, processing, there we go. For every one of these fields, from here to here, from here to here to here to here to here, you have to wait for processing to be finished before you can move on. Otherwise, your selection will be completely deleted. It's not bad right now, but during the middle of the day when everybody's working on this program, it does get really slow. So just keep an eye on this and make sure that you're not moving forward before that is done. Otherwise, your work will be lost. There are a couple of methods here. We don't do fill, but we do treat and script. Treat means the animal was seen in the clinic and that thing was done to them. So they got a dose of Strongyl or they got liquids or what have you. It was done in the clinic. If it's a prescription that the foster or the adoption counselor has to fill out, you do that. Okay, let's see. So let's see if I can say Strongyl. Okay, I'm going to say he got 1 cc. And let's say this is a one-time situation. You can unclick the recurrence box and all that information right there, totally gone. Okay, so I'm going to just, that's so that I know so I can delete it later. And treatment. Down there. Done. Okay, so just keep on doing that. Whenever you are done, you can go ahead and hit the Submit Exam button. It'll take you to the Summary tab, so you can see that you just created an exam. If you want to double check and make sure that your work is correct, that everything took, because believe me, this program is still buggy and things don't always work the way they're supposed to, you can click the medical view report. By the way, you need to be working on PetPoint and Internet Explorer. That's the only program it actually is supported in. If you try to pull this up in Firefox or in Google Chrome, this will be like this big, and it really stinks. Alright, so medical view report. It is admittedly not great. I find it personally difficult to read, but we're going to work with what we can. I have it set by default to sort by medical record, i.e. exam, and then within an exam to group by type of treatment, so medications, tests, exam notes, etc. When you're reading this, you can see these are, that's a scheduled. Remember how I showed you the front line earlier? That's showing that. So if I want to get rid of these, anything you want to filter out, you can do that and hit apply. You can also, by the way, export. If ever this window isn't showing up, if it shows, an error message, you can always export to HTML and it'll bring it up in its own browser window, which is helpful sometimes. Alright, so it goes from exam date, new to old. Here's 7/20. See? There's an exam. There's a vaccine that was done. Moxie drops, etc. And so we did 7/15. So let's scroll down to 7/15. As you can tell, I've been playing around this guy's exam a lot. Okay, 7/1, 7/18, 7/18. Here we go, 7/15. Okay, starting here. Here's the exam. Alright, so here's the exam. There's the combo test. There are the 2 results. There's the vaccination we did. And again, here's the status date. Status date. Here are all the treatments. And there you go. In addition to the medical view report, which provides the entire snapshot of that animal's medical history, you can pull up very specific reports, like a vaccination report. This way you don't have to slog through a bunch of records just to see what vaccines this cat has gotten. You'll notice it's the exact same format and even filter screen as a medical view report. It is the exact same thing. It's just formatted to pull up, these specific search criteria. But you more than, certainly can pull up the medical view report and simply change the search criteria, hitting apply to pull up a new report, and this way you don't have to X out of a window and pull up a new window over and over again. So just FYI there. As I mentioned earlier, the medical view report, I personally find it kind of hard to read. I know a lot of people have been expressing that same viewpoint. One workaround we found is by pulling up the internal kennel card. There are a couple of problems, even though it's lovely to read and it has that same clean format as the old PetPoint medical view report. The exam date is pulling up is not necessarily the date that the exam took place, i.e. the status date that you entered on the detail screen. Instead, it's showing up as the date that an exam was entered into the system. Obviously, that's a problem. The other issue is for treatments, it doesn't show dosages. You can see that he got Strongyl, but you don't know, how much he got. So if we do move forward and use this in the future, once the exam date issue's been worked out, if we go forward using this, I would highly suggest on the details screen in the notes section where you put all your exam notes, include the dosage right here. And that way we can see how much he got even if it's not necessarily listed here. And when you're done and you're ready to create either a new exam for this guy or to go create a new exam for somebody else, you hit the search button, create new record. And the good thing about this is Felipe is automatically selected because he was the last guy that we worked on. So you can do that and keep going, or you can type in a brand new name and create a brand new record. So that is it for this.